Apple has a rich history of innovation and product development. While many of their products became iconic and continue to shape the tech industry, several products have been discontinued over the years. With Apple releasing its highly anticipated iPhone 15 during the Wonderlust event, along with many other new devices, we may see some of the current ones fade away. Today, we will be going over a list of 20 discontinued Apple products that have left their mark on the company's journey. Now, without any further ado, let's get started.
We shall prevail.
Number 20. iPod Socks. iPod socks were a set of multicolored cotton knit socks introduced by Apple Computer in November 2004 for the protection of iPods from damage during travel. And to go ahead and answer your question, no, you cannot wear these like traditional socks. The socks were jokingly presented by Apple CEO Steve Jobs as a revolutionary new product.
When our design team came up with socks, and they're really cool actually. You can put your iPod in them, and they go like that. They keep your iPod warm on cold days, they protect it, and they give you a little more personality. So
they were available in a package of 6 different colors, including green, purple, gray, blue, orange, and pink for $29 US. Apple stopped selling the product sometime in September 2012, and the set soon became a collector's item, with the aftermarket prices rising as high as $90 US by 2014. Number 19. Apple Newton. Newton was a series of personal digital assistants developed and marketed by Apple Computer Inc., being released in 1993. It was considered technologically innovative around its debut, being one of the first devices to feature handwriting recognition. Newton devices ran on an operating system, Newton OS. Other Apple devices that used this operating system included Apple's MessagePad series and the eMate 300. Newton became popular in some industries, notably the medical field. However, the debut of the competing Palm Pilot in 1997 substantially reduced its market share.
Let me check my Palm Pilot.
Apple struggled to find a new direction for Newton, and when Steve Jobs returned to the company in 1997, he killed the product line. Number 18. Apple Mighty Mouse. The Mighty Mouse, later called Apple Mouse, was a multi-control USB mouse manufactured by Misumi Electric and sold by Apple Inc., being released in 2005. The Mighty Mouse is made of white plastic and has a recessed Apple logo on the mouse's face. The mouse has 4 functional controls: a left capacitive sensor, a right capacitive sensor, a trackball with a pressure sensor, and side squeeze sensors. The trackball enables users to scroll a page or document in any direction, including diagonally. Instead of mechanical buttons, the touch-sensitive top shell and pressure sensor trackball allow the mouse to detect which side is being touched or whether the trackball is being held in. Although the mouse can sense both right and left clicks, it is not possible to press both sensors simultaneously. The user must learn to lift the left finger off the sensor surface before attempting a right mouse click. On October 20th, 2009, the wireless Mighty Mouse was discontinued and replaced by the multi-touch wireless Magic Mouse. Number 17. Apple Quicktake. The Apple Quicktake was one of the first consumer digital cameras launched in 2004. 3 models of the product were built, including the 100 and 150, both built by Shinon, and the 200, built by Fujifilm. The Quicktake cameras had a resolution of 640 by 480 pixels. Although the Quicktake model sold well in the education and small business markets, other companies such as Kodak, Fujifilm, Canon, and Nikon shortly thereafter entered the digital market with brands that consumers associated with photography. The Quicktake line was discontinued in 1997, shortly after Steve Jobs came back to Apple. Number 16. Macintosh TV. In 1993, Apple released a personal computer with integrated television capabilities, being called the Macintosh TV. It was Apple's first attempt at computer television integration, sharing the same external appearance of the Macintosh LC500 series, but in black. The Macintosh TV is essentially a Performa 520 that can switch its built-in 14-inch Sony Trinitron CRT from being a computer display to a cable-ready television. It came with a small credit card-sized remote control that is also compatible with Sony televisions and had a matching black keyboard and mouse. Only 10,000 were made in the model's short time on the market, being discontinued on February 1, 1994. Number 15. PowerMac G4 Cube. The PowerMac G4 Cube was introduced to the public on July 19, 2000. Apple positioned the Cube in the middle of its product range, between the consumer iMac G3 and the professional PowerMac G4. It was a small cubic computer suspended in a 20 by 20 by 25 centimeter acrylic glass enclosure that was intended to give the impression that the computer was floating. The Cube requires a separate monitor with either an Apple Display Connector (ADC) or a Video Graphics Array (VGA) connection. The machine had no fan to move air and heat through the case and was instead passively cooled with heat dissipated via a grill at the top of the case. The product was an immediate commercial failure, selling only 150,000 units before production was suspended within a year of its announcement. This was one of the rare failures for the company. Number 14. Style Writer. The Apple Style Writer was a series of inkjet printers first introduced in 1991. These printers were designed to complement Apple's computers and provide a high-quality printing for home and small office users. The feed mechanism was removable, and paper could be fed through manually in a vertical straight line. A portable version was released in 1993 that was powered by a nickel-cadmium battery or an external AC adapter. A Color Style Writer Pro would be also introduced a year later. Despite their popularity, the Style Writer series faced competition from other printer manufacturers, and advancements in printing technology were rapidly evolving. Apple eventually discontinued the Style Writer series in 1997, shifting its focus to other areas of product development. Number 13. Powerbook. The Powerbook, previously known as Macintosh Powerbook before 1997, is a family of Macintosh laptop computers designed, manufactured, and introduced by Apple in 1991. During its lifetime, the Powerbook went through several major revisions and redesigns, often being the first to incorporate features that would later become standard in competing laptops. At the 2006 Macworld Conference and Expo, the MacBook Pro was introduced. Also the same year, the 17-inch Powerbook G4 was replaced by a 17-inch MacBook Pro variant, ending its 12-inch Powerbook G4, when the MacBook was introduced as a replacement for the iBook. Because of its availability in highly powerful configurations, it was also considered a replacement for the 12-inch Powerbook, ending the nearly 15-year production of Powerbook branded computers. An indirect successor, the 13-inch MacBook Pro, was introduced in mid-2009. Number 12. Compact Macintosh. The Compact Macintosh, often referred to as the Compact Mac, is an all-in-one Apple Mac computer with a display integrated in the computer case, beginning with the original Macintosh 128K. It was introduced by a television commercial entitled 1984, shown during Super Bowl XVIII on January 22, 1984, starring English athlete Anya Major. It sold for $2,495 US, equivalent to $6,500 in 2021, selling 70,000 units within 5 months. Apple divided their models into form factors: Macintosh SE and Macintosh Classic, all with the 9-inch 23cm black and white screen, the modernized Macintosh Color Classic with a 10-inch 25cm color screen, and the very different Macintosh XL. The Macintosh Color Classic was the final model of the original compact family of Macintosh computers and was replaced by the larger display Macintosh LC 500 series and Power Macintosh 5200 LC in 1995. Number 11. iBook. iBook was a line of laptop computers launched by Apple in 1999. The line targeted entry-level, consumer, and education markets with lower specifications and prices than the Powerbook, Apple's higher-end line of laptop computers. It was the first mass consumer product to offer Wi-Fi network connectivity, which was then branded by Apple as Airport. The iBook had 3 different designs during its lifetime. The first generation, known as clamshell, was inspired by the design of Apple's popular iMac line at the time. It used transparent colored plastics for the shell in several colors, starting with blueberry and tangerine, later adding indigo, graphite, and key lime colors. The second generation abandoned the original form factor in favor of a more conventional rectangular design. The third generation was introduced, adding a PowerPC G4 chip, USB 2.0, and a slot-loading drive. They were very popular in education, with Henrico County Public Schools being the first of many school systems in the United States to distribute one to every student. Apple replaced the iBook line with the MacBook in May 2006 during the Mac transition to Intel processors. Number 10. Macintosh Portable. The Macintosh Portable was Apple's first attempt at a portable computer. Being launched in 1989, it became the first battery-powered Macintosh, which garnered significant excitement from critics, but sales to consumers were quite low.
This is the power cord. No, we don't need the power cord. So now for the tense moment. If I press a key, I should hear a chime. Yes. So soon I will see the smiling Mac face after the memory is checked, and we will have liftoff. Well, here we have it.
At 16 pounds and 4 inches thick, the Portable was a heavy and bulky portable computer. The main contributor to the Portable's weight and bulk was its lead-acid battery. Reaction to the Macintosh Portable was mixed, with many praising the clear LCD screen, but most shunning the computer due to its size, weight, and high cost. This led to the computer being discontinued in 1991. Number 9. eMac. The eMac, short for Education Mac, was released in 2002 and originally aimed at the education market, but was later made available as a cheaper mass-market alternative to Apple's second-generation LCD iMac G4. The design closely resembles the first-generation iMac, though the eMac is white, slightly larger, and heavier than the preceding G3, weighing 50 pounds. The larger screen offered 40% more viewing area. The computer was powered by a PowerPC G4 processor, much faster than the G3-powered iMacs. Several early models have suffered from what was known as raster shift, a phenomenon where the bottom third or half of the screen goes black, with the rest of the image shifting upward and beyond the top boundary of the display. On July 5, 2006, the entire eMac line was discontinued. An educational configuration of the iMac Core Duo was introduced the same day, which has a combo drive rather than a super drive and a smaller hard disk of 80 gigabytes. Number 8. iPod Classic. Apple introduced the first-generation iPod on October 23, 2001, with the slogan, 1,000 songs in your pocket. The first iPod had a monochrome LCD liquid crystal display screen and featured a 5GB hard drive capable of storing 1,000 songs, encoded using MP3, and was priced at $399 US. There were 6 generations of the iPod Classic, as well as a spin-off, the iPod Photo, that was later reintegrated into the main iPod line. Some built-in games were available, including Brick, a clone of Breakout, Parachute, Solitaire, and iPod Quiz. Starting with the 5th generation, released in 2005, it became the first iPod to be able to play videos. The classic suffix was formally introduced with the rollout of the 6th generation iPod on September 5, 2007. Before this, all iPod Classic models were simply referred to as iPods. This was done to distinguish it from the then new iPod Touch, based on the design of the iPhone. On September 9, 2014, Apple discontinued the iPod Classic. The 6th generation 160GB iPod Classic was the last Apple product to use the original 30-pin dock connector and the distinctive click wheel. Number 7. Airport. In 1999, Apple introduced the Airport line at Macworld, New York, with Steve Jobs surfing the web on an iBook using wireless internet technology for the very first time in a public demo of an Apple laptop. The Airport were wireless routers and network cards developed by Apple Inc. using Wi-Fi protocols. Wireless cards were discontinued in 2009 following the Mac transition to Intel processors. In 2018, Apple formally discontinued all of its Airport products, exiting the router market. Number 6. Airpower. Although never released, the Airpower was a planned wireless charging mat developed by Apple and designed to charge up to 3 devices simultaneously. It was announced on September 12, 2017 and formally scheduled to be released in early 2018. Airpower failed to materialize, leading to wide speculation over the product's future until Apple announced on March 29, 2019 that it had canceled the release. There were reportedly several development issues that led to this decision, with heat management, inter-device communication, and speed, as well as mechanical and interference issues, all being rumored. This, however, didn't stop third-party accessory makers from mimicking the Airpower's design and functionality. Number 5. Apple Pippin. The Apple Pippin was unveiled on December 13, 1994 at the Winter Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. 3 features of Apple Pippin appealed to users. It offered low-cost access to the internet. It brought the internet to the television. It added convenience for consumers who wanted video games, word processing, and internet access in one device. It was named after the Newtown Pippin, an Apple cultivar, a smaller and harder relative of the Macintosh Apple, which is the namesake of the Macintosh. Apple didn't have the resources to mass-produce hardware, so they used a business model where they licensed the technology to Bandai, who would sell the console. Bandai projected that they see 14 million users within the first year of the console's release, but that didn't happen due to various delays and no licenses, which led to developers refusing to support the software. This also led to only a few selections of video games. The various delays led to a March 1996 release date with outdated technology, competing against other companies who were offering affordable internet access, with Sega offering that service for their Saturn console. Furthermore, the price of $599 was too expensive for consumers, and Apple was criticized for abandoning the console upon its release, leaving Bandai to try and sell it. Pippin was discontinued in 1997 after having sold a mere 42,000 units. Bandai abandoned Pippin after negotiating a merger with Sega, while Apple stopped licensing the software at the urging of Steve Jobs, who had recently rejoined the company. A lesson regarding Pippin's failure is that if you don't have enough software, video games, the hardware, console, will fail. Number 4. iPod Mini. The iPod Mini was released on February 20th, 2004 as a smaller digital audio player. It used the touch-sensitive scroll wheel of the 3rd generation iPod. A 2nd generation was released a year later and were almost identical in their external features, except for 2 noticeable differences. The 1st generation model has gray control symbols on the click wheel, while those on the 2nd generation matched the color of the body, and the player's storage capacity was etched on the back of the 2nd generation body. While it was in production, it was one of the most popular electronic products on the market, with consumers often unable to find a retailer with the product in stock. The iPod Mini was discontinued on September 7, 2005 after 1 year of being made and was replaced by the iPod Nano. Number 3. iPod Shuffle. As much as we like to shuffle our music playlist and playing cards, the iPod Shuffle was released on January 11, 2005 during the Macworld Expo. The 1st generation iPod Shuffle weighed 0.78 ounces, resembled a pack of chewing gum sticks, and was designed to be easily loaded with a selection of songs and to play them in sequential or random order. It lacked a display, the trademark click wheel, playlist management features, and the games, address book, calendar, alarm, and notes capability of larger iPods. The 1GB model was advertised as capable of holding up to 240 songs, based on Apple's estimate of 4 minutes per song. On September 12, 2006, Apple announced the release of the second-generation iPod Shuffle, calling it the most wearable iPod ever. The new model was less than half the size of the first-generation model and was the size of the iPod radio remote. Apple claimed it was the world's smallest MP3 player. This generation included the new built-in belt clip, and the actual unit itself was thinner, with the entire device weighing only 15.5 grams. Additional colors were eventually added to the iPod Shuffle line: pink, orange, green, and blue, in addition to the original silver color. The iPod Shuffle was discontinued by Apple on July 27, 2017. Number 2. iPod Nano. The first iPod Nano was introduced on September 7, 2005 as a replacement for the iPod Mini, being launched in 2 colors, black and white. It was available in 2 sizes, 2GB, roughly 500 songs, and 4GB, 1,000 songs. Apple also released some accessories, including armbands and silicone tubes designed to bring color to the Nano and protect it from scratches, as well as a combination lanyard earphone accessory that hangs around the neck and avoids the problem of tangled earphone cords. The latest models with Bluetooth headphones have a similar advantage. iPod Nano had a total of 7 generations, with its design changing each generation, most notably the 6th and 7th generations, which saw the removal of the traditional click wheel and replaced with touchscreen controls. In 2017, Apple officially discontinued the iPod Nano, along with the iPod Shuffle. Number 1. iPod Touch. The iPod Touch debuted in 2007 after the first generation iPhone as a companion device. It had similar features, but a thinner design with an all-metal back except for a small corner cut out for Wi-Fi, allowing it to use Safari to browse websites. It used the same 30-pin connector as the first-generation iPhone and previous iPods, allowing most iPod accessories to work with the iPod Touch. Steve Jobs once referred to the iPod Touch as training wheels for the iPhone. The iPod Touch had no cellular modem and therefore could not directly make phone calls on the public switch telephone network. However, it can make FaceTime calls and send iMessages to other iPhones, Macs, iPads, and iPod Touch models with an Apple ID. The iPod Touch was the last product in Apple's iPod product line after the discontinuation of the iPod Nano and iPod Shuffle on July 27, 2017, after which Apple revised the storage and pricing for the iPod Touch with 32 and 128 gigabytes of storage. There was a total of 7 models of the iPod Touch devices produced. On May 10, 2022, Apple discontinued the iPod Touch, effectively ending the iPod product line as a whole. Well, this brings us to the end of our list today. Let me know in the comments below if you know of any other Apple products that have disappeared over the years, or if you recognized any of the ones we went over in the video. See you next time!